Mark and Jenna had built almost 10 years of life together in Portland, their world revolving around their 7-year-old son, Liam. Mark, a hardworking contractor, spent long days on job sites, proud of providing for his family. Jenna excelled in her marketing career, balancing deadlines and motherhood with practiced grace. To anyone looking in, their marriage seemed solid, a bit weary from the daily grind of work and parenting, perhaps, but steady. That illusion fell apart one evening when Mark came home earlier than usual. The house was quiet except for the soft murmur of voices from the living room. When he stepped inside, he froze. Jenna was there with her coworker, Chris, and the closeness between them left little room for doubt. Jenna jumped up, stammering that Chris was just a friend, a colleague stopping by to discuss work, but her tone betrayed panic. Later that night, when Mark checked her phone and saw the messages, the truth landed with brutal clarity. She had been having an affair. The betrayal struck him harder than any physical blow. His chest felt hollow as he told Jenna to pack her things and leave. She begged him to listen, crying that it had been a mistake, a lapse born from feeling ignored. But Mark couldn't look past what she had done, or the fact that she had brought another man into the home where their son slept. His voice was steady when he said she needed to go. Jenna left that night, moving in with a friend. Her phone calls and messages came endlessly over the following weeks, full of apologies and pleas for another chance, but Mark stopped responding. He poured his energy into keeping life normal for Liam. School mornings, soccer practices, bedtime stories. Behind the steady routine, though, anger and sadness churned like a storm he could barely contain. He reached out to a lawyer, filing for divorce, determined to hold on to his dignity and protect his son's sense of safety. As months passed, the quiet of his new life began to settle. Mornings were simple, evenings revolved around homework and dinner. But whenever he let his mind wander, he saw flashes of that night. The way Chris had looked at Jenna, the betrayal in her eyes. The memory reopened wounds every time it surfaced. Meanwhile, Jenna sought therapy, cut off all contact with Chris, and tried to show remorse through her actions. Her texts grew less frantic and more reflective, focusing on Liam's needs rather than her guilt. Their communication became strictly practical: pick-up times, school events, medical appointments. Every exchange felt stiff but civil. Late at night, after Liam was asleep, Mark found himself replaying their marriage in his mind. He wondered if his long hours had made Jenna feel lonely, if he'd missed signs of her unhappiness. Yet every time he tried to empathize, the image of her betrayal crushed any sympathy. However neglected she might have felt, she had chosen deceit. Then, one rainy evening, came an unexpected knock. Mark opened the door to find Chris standing there, soaked and looking wrecked. Rage surged through him instantly. Before he could speak, Chris blurted that Jenna had ended things. He said he regretted ever getting involved, that he hadn't meant to destroy a family, that he had genuinely fallen for her. Mark's jaw tightened. Without another word, he slammed the door in his face. The encounter left him shaking. It reopened every raw edge of pain he'd tried to bury. He didn't tell Jenna about it, didn't see the point. Instead, he used that moment as fuel to move on. When the divorce papers were finalized, Jenna didn't contest a single term: child custody, property, finances. Her silence seemed like a kind of penance. Life split cleanly in two. Mark's days became a rhythm of work, school drop-offs, and soccer games. Liam's laughter became his anchor. Jenna continued therapy, determined to become a better version of herself, hoping at least to earn Mark's respect if not his forgiveness. They began attending joint counseling sessions, not to reconcile, but to learn how to co-parent without bitterness. There, painful truths came to light. Jenna admitted she had felt invisible during the marriage, while Mark acknowledged that his dedication to work had often left her isolated. Understanding grew, but forgiveness remained impossible. They created firm boundaries, total honesty, no mention of past affairs, and full focus on Liam's well-being. Over time, those boundaries began to build something functional between them, a cautious peace. Jenna kept showing up, never missing Liam's games or school events, giving Mark space while proving her reliability. Slowly, the raw anger began to fade. Months later, at Liam's school play, they sat on opposite sides of the auditorium. When Liam stepped onto the stage, both clapped and smiled. For the first time in a long while, Mark felt something close to calm. Their marriage was gone, the trust shattered beyond repair, but life had begun to rebuild around what remained, their son. Mark found healing in small things, coaching Liam's soccer team, fixing up the apartment, rediscovering the hobbies he had abandoned years before. Jenna, too, was changing, focusing on self-growth and her career. Chris was nothing more than a bitter memory now, but his uninvited visit had marked a turning point. It had shown Mark that he could either stay trapped in bitterness or start reclaiming his peace. He chose the latter. At Liam's next birthday, they stood apart once again, smiling politely across the table as their son blew out his candles. The moment was bittersweet, scars still lingered, but so did their shared devotion to Liam. Mark no longer loved Jenna, but he no longer hated her either. What remained was a quiet, steady strength and a deep love for his son. From the ruins of betrayal, he had built something new, a life defined not by what he lost, but by what he still had, the laughter of his boy, the calm of ordinary days, and the peace of knowing he had survived the storm.